everybody.
Hey guys, welcome back. Reese here at Pursuing Antler Arts, and we're covering our coverage here at the Deed of the Green Knight. And today I thought I would take a moment to talk with my good friend and advisor of the channel, Bob Charrette.
Hello.
You may remember Bob from one of our previous videos, one of our first videos. He was nice enough to come out and teach us a feeling drill covering sticks. And here, before long, Ben and I are going to be working on a video series on getting you guys into harness. And we tell you that we recommend you that you keep it contemporary and historically accurate. And Bob's harness is probably the best that I've seen that fits that, because he also studies the Italian side of the art, and he has Italian style harness. So, Bob, thank you for taking time to do this.
Yeah, pleased to be here.
Yeah. So, if you guys are thinking this looks a bit familiar, that's because Ben has the same style of harness, the Kerberg S18.
Much of it, yes.
Yeah, much of it, yeah. So Bob's just going to kind of run us through a little bit of his style of harness, and then also what he's learned over the years from doing the Italian side of the art. So Bob, take it away.
Okay. Like I said, much of the harness is from the Kerberg surviving example, which is the earliest, mostly complete suit of white harness that we have. But it's missing several important elements, like
The pauldrons.
The pauldrons.
Yeah.
But it has associated gauntlets. There's a helmet associated with it. I used to wear a similar helmet to that, but discovered that it did not suit my head shape.
Right. Yeah, if you actually look at the surviving example, it slopes in.
It does. It's the one with the fence in front of the eyes.
Yep.
And it has a very steep slope.
Yeah. So
down, and I was bruising my chin every time I fought.
yeah, I think Ben and I were in agreement that that guy must not have had a chin.
No. And there are people who express genetically that way.
Yeah.
So I've recently gotten a replacement helmet, which I think you're going to show in this spin around.
We'll show it here. So this one, this is pretty unique because it's armament style, but it's based off of artwork.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of experimental work. It's based on fresco in Venice Castle in northern Italy, and it's from the second decade or the 15th century, much like the harness in Kerberg. But it's a different kind of helmet, so it let me try something a little different. I tend to call it a bassin armet because it's got elements of both of what we recognize as those styles of helmets. But the fresco is detailed enough that you can see the divider at the chin and the pin that holds it, and a hinge on the side that's toward the viewer.
Right.
So it clearly closes like an armet, but the skull is a little more pointed than the contemporary armets, and the visor is much closer to what most people call a hound skull, the pointed visor, but a little shorter snouted. I do not have a match to the piercings for the breaths to the fresco, because it was St. George, and he's on horseback dealing with the dragon, as he so often is, and
Not on foot. Yeah.
not on foot. And I do foot combat, so I need a little more air and vision, particularly since I'm getting older. I need all that air.
Right.
But one of the things the fresco shows is it presumably has an aventail. It's a little hard to tell because there's a cloth cover there of raccoon. But the leather that's attaching that to the helmet shows no signs of vervels, and it is continuous at the throat across where the armet cheeks would open.
Right.
So we have speculated that it's closed in the back. So that's what this aventail on the helmet does.
Nice.
So a little fussier to get into.
Right. Yeah. Armets.
But that's just the way it is.
Right.
So the cuirass is a classic early two-piece with 3 straps holding the components together.
So now this is interesting because you start seeing this develop in the early 15th centuries. They're adding reinforcement. right, to the existing on top of the existing plates, especially Italian because they're mounted, right? So
The Italians very much favored staying on horse.
yeah,
For
and
their
hence the
knights.
pauldrons and everything else. So so being that you study Fiore, what and have an Italian the same style harness shown in Fiore, what have you learned? What are some of the things you discovered over the years from doing this?
Okay, well, particularly in the Pisani Dossi manuscript, you can see guys in armettes and with clear hourglass-shaped cuirasses and pauldrons, big pauldrons in some cases. And in some of the pictures, they have both of them on. In some, they have one or the other one on, and in some, they have no pauldrons on. So clearly, there's some choices going on to do this, and so I've experimented with those various forms, and I found, for me anyway, taking the right one off means I can fight longer because I'm right-hand dominant,
Right.
and that's the arm that does a lot of the work.
Right. And
So-
I'm more likely to hit your left side than I am a right
Well,
side.
I'm going to present it,
Okay.
particularly if I'm keeping this one,
Right.
because it effectively acts as a shield, doing a good job of guarding my armpit on this side. And since a lot of the actions that we use, I'm rotating the arm, but really not lifting it on this side for a lot of the positions. But I'm doing a lot of that.
Right.
Right. So it really increases the invitation when I go up into a high guard. Here, you hold that for a second. When I go up into a high guard and offer those armpits.
Yeah.
But I'm old enough, people think I'm some kind of sly fox and really trying to trap them with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they might be faster than me.
Yeah. But
A lot of them are these
This
days.
is nice to have, that insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm wearing sleeves and a skirt underneath this. But one of the features you see in the Italian harness is what looks to be two skirts of mail,
Right.
and I have sort of that, but only one of them is an actual skirt. The shorter one is sewn to a leather that is riveted to the bottom of the fold.
Right. And I believe you see evidence of that on the surviving example.
It's a little hard to be sure
Yeah.
what's going on, but there are rivet holes on the S18 cuirass down there.
Yeah.
So
And then studying with some of the surviving effigies, you see that sort of two-layer of mail
and you see it in art as well.
yeah.
But one thing I have discovered with this particular arrangement is that sewing puts this short skirt under a certain amount of tension. So while loose mail in a normal skirt will deform under an impact and let it get in deeper, this tends to resist that
Oh, nice.
because it's holding it in one dimension. So that's kind of an interesting feature,
Yeah, that's very neat.
and would probably be more effective against sharp-pointed swords than the blunt sparring weapons we use,
Right.
because it would get hung up in that
Yeah,
first
it
layer
would
of
snag
mail,
the mail.
lose force before it hits the second,
Right.
and that's a good thing.
And also, you got a couple extra features that you've added over the years to experiment with. You've got rib stops on your.
Well, these weren't added to the armor. I made the choice to use a different arm harness than what survives at Kerberg, because this may well be my last harness that I will have, and I wanted to try a number of features that I hadn't experienced and see what they would do for actions in fighting. So this is actually a copy of a surviving piece in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and it does indeed have the stop ribs. There's one on the outside, which doesn't seem to matter much in the sparring we do, again because of the blunt points.
Right.
But sharp point has a chance of sliding under a lane and then getting into the elbow, which, while that might not hit anatomy, it's going to get in there and it's going to give someone control of my arm.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Right, so it has that outside one. And on the inside, there's a little stop rib and also a turn on the proximal side of the vambrace. So both of those work for what we do.
Right.
And they can catch
Yeah.
things to keep it from getting into my
I've got
arm.
the same sort of lip on mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It helps
Yeah.
a lot.
Right, I think mine's just a smidge higher.
Yeah.
but having the two of them there matters. It wasn't a very long-lived fashion, but I'm trying it out.
Yeah, yeah.
I also have a 3/4 upper cannon. So there's no hinge in the upper cannon to close it, and it's a little more protection than what you wear, which is a half cannon.
Right. Nice. Nice. Yeah, we recommend you guys, ideally get a harness that's custom made to fit you properly, but you can keep it contemporary because you will learn about the techniques from sticking to an accurate style harness. So since Bob says Italian style harness, early 50th century, he studies early 50th century fight manuals. He's able to do comparative tests and discover what that's about. So,
all right, I have the bracket here to hold an arrête, and I do living history shows in this harness, and I used to. The most common question used to be, how heavy is it, right?
Right.
Anybody who does living history gets that question.
Yeah.
But now the most common question is, what's that? So I get to tell them about the arrête de cuirass and the arrête de lance, right? Because they're two parts of a system that improves the power of a lance strike.
Yeah.
It's not about resting your lance.
Right.
It's about stopping your lance.
Yeah, because once that is in place in your lance, it's the energy's going through the
Yeah, it goes into
harness.
the cuirass.
Yeah.
And where when you're supporting it under your arm, you kind of have to twist your torso to aim it across.
Right.
Right. And now I can let it rest on this as well, and my arm is no longer supporting it, except by its own weight.
Right.
And I bring the lance across, and I don't have to turn my chest into it to get that lance onto a target, which means I'm better aligned to work with my saddle.
Right.
And take all that force into the horse, which means all of that is linked together when it strikes.
Oh, very cool.
And tests that Toby Capel was involved seem to indicate that when you have this system with the two arrêts, you're hitting, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times as hard as when you're trying to just hold it under your arm.
That's interesting. Very cool.
And that may be related to some changes in armor.
Right. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, since this happens toward the end of the 14th century, that's when we see a lot of people adding plates here.
Oh yeah.
Right? So it's probably not about the foot combat they're adding this.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
It's about the lances.
And that was knight's primary method of fighting, so it makes sense to me.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
So one other variation is the fingers on the gauntlet. The S18 gauntlets have lames for fingers, where some of the lames are above the leather and some are beneath the leather.
Right.
But my armorer made those for these originally. But they're subtler for fit than they appear.
Yeah.
And he was not able, when I got them, I couldn't actually get a solid grip on my weapons. So in order to have them for a deed, he replaced them with these scales,
Right.
Which is a good contemporary choice. You almost always see lames and scales on the same style of Manus gauntlet.
Right. And I noticed that with this type of gauntlet, once the cuff starts getting longer, they start adding articulation right here.
Yeah, this one still has a flare,
Yeah.
right? So I can still cock it back before it engages anything. But when that gets held up with something, I still have a little bit of give. So it's nice. I think that's the first step on an evolution of the cuffs are starting to get tighter.
Right.
Right, and this is creating the third leg of the triangle.
Right.
Right, because it's not just weapons against armor, but it's also technique.
Yeah.
And there is a technique where you get your point around behind the cuff of the gauntlet and drive your point in to disable your man's hand.
Yep.
But as those get further back toward the elbow and they start strapping them down, they defeat that technique.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what's fun about this is that you see, if you study the arms and armor, and you study the techniques throughout the fight manuals, you see the evolution of stuff changing, and you can speculate that changed because of those set techniques or advances in tactics. So very, very cool. So, but yeah, thank you, Bob, very much for doing this with me. We actually intended to do this with
Poor form to shake a man's hand when only one of you has a glove on.
Right. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Special thanks to Bob again for taking the time to do this. We actually tried to do this before back at Days and Nights, but
Yeah, we did.
It rained and then all the video got corrupted. So I was really glad to get it for you guys now. So going forward, we are going to be looking into where we doing some videos on sourcing armor, and then get you guys up to speed to where you can start doing your own research and getting your own kit, and hopefully be out here doing this with us. So.
Yeah. And I hope to see you at the Chivalric Fighting Arts Symposium in November.
Yes, and I will be there. And I will be teaching. So, all right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate your viewership. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters for keeping the channel alive. You guys are truly awesome, and we look forward to seeing you guys next video. Take care.